Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Tanuki3DS. Now, Tanuki3DS is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and they say here it aims to be simple, fast, and compatible. Tanuki3DS is not a fork of Citra, it's its own thing, and it just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 0.3.1 is the latest update, and this update fixes the black screen in some games like Mario Maker, Metroid Samus Returns, and Virtual Console. If you're interested in Tanuki3DS and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about emulators that are kind of their own thing, next up we're talking about Atari Jaguar and Jaguar CD emulation with BigPEmu. And BigPEmu just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.19 is the latest update. And this update adds in a bunch of fixes and some nifty new improvements. They've added more Jaguar GD functionality. They've added significant improvements to the network rollback functionality, and this comes courtesy of Big Instinct. And on top of that, Linux ARM64 builds are now part of the automated build set. And continuing to speak about emulation, next up we're talking about PlayStation 4 emulation with ShadPS4. And ShadPS4 has just released a brand new compatibility report, and you may be surprised with it. This report is available right on their website here, and it shows the compatibility status report from version 0.8.0 to the latest release here of version 0.9.0. And we covered the release of version 0.9.0 very recently in a video here. But anyways, in terms of compatibility, there's more games that are now booting and more games that are now playable. There's improvements across the board for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. And Mac OS went from 4 playable games to 5 playable games, which from a percentage point of view is a huge gain. Numbers-wise, maybe not so much, but percentage-wise, yes. Linux here, they went from 13 playable games to 21. And Windows went from 29 playable games to 32. Just improvements across the board. They say that Lords of the Fallen seem to have had some deadlocks previously, but now they appear to be fixed. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition reaches in-game seems playable, but does have some graphical issues. The Witch and the 100 Knight 2, a save bug got fixed and the game is playable now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan got stuck at Rocksteady's fight but now appears to be playable. Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 appears to be working fine. Odin Spear Liftrasir, I'm not really overly familiar with this game. The game appears to be playable now. Nier Automata is booting. I don't think that's playable, but it is booting. I think we talked about that one. And Catherine Full Body is in-game. And speaking about PlayStation emulation, next up we're going back one generation and talking about PlayStation 3 emulation with RPCS3. And we've been talking about RPCS3 a lot this year. This emulator has gotten a lot of improvements, has made improvements in leaps and bounds. And it seems that even more improvements are going to be on the horizon here. This is their latest tweet. RPCS3 now requires Vulkan 1.2 instead of 1.0. For you, nothing changes. All Vulkan GPUs and drivers we already supported with 1.0 also support Vulkan 1.2. This change will allow us to make use of the new Vulkan features to improve rendering performance. Stay tuned for those. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm pretty excited with the progress that RPCS3 continues to make. The developers for this emulator are on fire. And speaking about friendly heads-ups, next up we're talking about fan translations. And if you're a fan of retro games getting translated to different languages, well, you might be a big fan of this video here. Emulapore has a brand new video out for the month of May, and it's the monthly Game Fan Translations recap. This video is almost 20 minutes long, well, 19 minutes and 30 seconds to be specific. It is time-stamped, and there are a lot of games in here for a lot of different systems, like the Vita, the 3DS, the Switch, and even more. And speaking about a lot of games for a lot of systems, next up we're talking about Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest is set to take place very soon, towards the end of the week starting on Friday. And if you're interested in Summer Game Fest and interested in the schedule, Video Games Chronicle has you covered. Their website is awesome here to organize absolutely everything. You can pinpoint exactly what you want to see or what you don't want to see, and well, there's even links to where to watch it on YouTube or on Twitch. Now, I don't know about you, but I am kind of excited about this year's Summer Game Fest. And what I'll do is I'll cover the important information that you may or may not want to hear about it while the event happens. But at the same time, there's quite a bit here, and there's a whole bunch of game reveals that are expected. For example, and some people might be really excited about this one, Resident Evil 9 is said to be revealed this week. There's going to be some teasers about The Witcher 4 during the State of Unreal. If you're a James Bond fan, you might be excited about this one. 007 First Light is set to be revealed this week. Probably not surprised about this one, but Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is going to be premiered as well. And these are just a few of the many games that'll probably be showcased. And speaking about showcases, next up we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. And Nintendo has unveiled a brand new video here showcasing GameShare and how it functions from streaming a Nintendo Switch 2 game to a Nintendo Switch. Overall, I would say that this feature is actually kind of exciting. It seems that it's not just going to be a simple screen share, but there will be some processing here to change things around for the other viewer. I'm not going to lie here, I'm curious to see how this functions for more games, but from an initial point of view, it seems pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and pretty effective. It could be some fun for some multiplayer games if people have two Switches. And continuing to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, next up here we're talking about something about the Switch 2 that I think is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be a meme, but it's going to be something similar to sniffing the exhaust on a Steam Deck or licking a Nintendo game cartridge. I could be wrong about that. I don't know if the Nintendo game key cards are going to taste awful too. But anyways here, this is the latest and greatest, I guess, about the Switch 2. Nintendo tells users not to remove the film layer from the Switch 2 screen. Reportedly, this excerpt is in the manual for the Switch 2. The screen is covered with a film layer designed to prevent fragments scattering in the event of damage. Do not peel it off. I'm willing to bet people will peel it off. Now, unfortunately, I have not seen a Switch 2 to be able to tell what the layer actually looks like. Does it look like the packaged covering that you do peel off? Does it look like a tempered glass screen? Does it look like a standard screen protector, or is it basically invisible? I've got no idea here. But I'm willing to bet that there are going to be people pulling it off, either mistakenly or for science. Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about science, next up we're talking about Cyberpunk 2077 running on the Switch 2. IGN has a brand new article that I recommend checking out. It's very interesting and very informative about how CD Projekt Red got Cyberpunk 2077 running on the Switch 2. And it's not necessarily the Switch 2's power to make it easy here. It seems like it was a pretty complicated thing. Now, you may disagree with me on that front because there's quotes like this in the article. We really thought it was going to be more of a challenge, but in the end, it was not that much. However, based on the information in the article, it just seems like it's all over the place. It does seem like it was quite a bit of work. For example, they say this right here. Cyberpunk is built for x86 with old PC architecture. So this from the beginning was completely different. Lots of changes had to be done at the engine level. All the shaders are in a different language. We had to convert everything, some HLSL to GLSL. The Switch 2 uses a very, very different architecture. That to me does not sound simple. Furthermore, they say another thing the team had to contend with was that the Switch 2 has fewer computational cores available than any other platform Cyberpunk has been built for, including previous generation consoles. This was one of the struggles we had. In terms of performance, I also think this is where things are kind of all over the place here. Let me know your thoughts. So just to be clear, if it goes under 30 FPS, I don't think that's great. There's no such thing as, oh, this is fine to get 25 FPS in this section. No, it's not. It should be 30 FPS everywhere. And then they go on to say here, and this is where I'm really confused about, I think that the 40 FPS is a very good compromise to the 60 FPS. I personally would disagree with that. They go on to say, honestly, I think it's a game changer, at least for me as a gamer. And when we have the same on docked mode, the difference is that on docked mode, it's dependent on your TV setting. So if you have 120 Hz refresh rate, then you can have the 40 FPS mode. Furthermore, they say it's the same great experience, but not competing with the high-end quality path tracing on PC that you can have. This is not the goal. Now, they go on to talk about more benefits of the Switch hardware, like the faster storage and more RAM and the ability to use DLSS. It seems like DLSS is key to getting everything running. And they say here that this means that not only does the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk 2077 run better than the PS4 and Xbox One versions, it also includes the Phantom Liberty expansion, which was much too demanding for old tech and thus was not released on last-gen consoles. Now, maybe I'm out in left field on this, maybe I'm way off base in my takes here, but I'm just thinking that this article is all over the place. I'm confused as to whether or not it was actually easy to get Cyberpunk 2077 running on the Switch too. It seems like it may have been more difficult than they're letting on. At least that's the way I'm reading it. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. I'm also confused about this 40 FPS mode. I personally don't like 40 FPS. I like 30 FPS and I like 60 FPS. But 40 is just, it's a weird one for me. Maybe again, I'm off base with that. Next up, we're talking about a Kickstarter game that I think is going to be successful. So this one is called The Mystery of Doomsday Valley, and it's a point-and-click adventure game, and I love the art style of this one. So this one, I don't know if you're a fan of point-and-click games. I am, but this one to me looks pretty good here. There's 8 days left to go, and they've already beat their Kickstarter goal. They've only asked for $10,469. And they've got 12,614 at the time of filming. The release on this one is targeting Q4 2026. Now, the reason I think this is going to be a successful Kickstarter, aside from already beating their goal, is the fact that it's already up on Steam in demo form, and you can check out the demo if you're interested in the game and wanted to learn more about it. And speaking about success and release dates, next up we're talking about Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, this game, well, we don't know what's going on with this game. The studio has been very tight-lipped about it. I think it's going to have some very lofty expectations, and I'm wondering here if it's ever going to live up to those expectations. But anyways, maybe something to be excited about here is they've updated stuff over on Steam. The latest change was on June 3rd, which is crazy because the last change before that was back in August of 2024, 10 months ago. So the release date of this game may be imminent, or maybe we're going to learn more about it fairly soon, maybe during Summer Game Fest. Who knows? I haven't been holding my breath on this one. It's kind of like that whole Half-Life 3 thing. But at the same time, where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're hearing more and more about Hollow Knight Silksong as time goes on. And speaking about stuff in development, last up here, we're talking about something that may get some people excited. It seems that there's going to be another D&D game following from Baldur's Gate 3's success. Wizards of the Coast has announced a new game. Unfortunately, we don't know a whole lot about this game just yet, but it's being reported it's going to be an action-adventure game, not a traditional RPG. And it is being developed by Giant Skull and may have some lofty expectations behind it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.